Alright guys, so you clicked the video for a microphone stand. I just started my Patreon and I have this really cool USB microphone, but right now I don't have any way to really hold it in place. So I figured let's make a video on how I'm going to 3D print a cool little microphone stand. It's going to be really basic. I'm going to try and get it all done in this one video, top to bottom. So I'll show you how to do that, and if you want the file, you can download it. It'll be on the page. So first off, I'm using my CAD software. It's Creo 10.0, and you can use whatever CAD software you like. This is just what I happen to be using. So I'm going to just get right into it. All right, so we have our working directory set. We're going to hit new. It's going to be a part. I'm going to call it mic stand 1. Okay, I have the default template set to millimeters because that's what I prefer. Metric system works really well. Okay, so let's go. We're making a microphone stand. I want this microphone stand. First, we're gonna figure out a few of the different features. I want it to have like an angle to it. I don't really need that angle to be adjustable, but I need the microphone to kind of face up at me, and it needs to fully support itself. So I'm going to start with making an offset plane to raise this microphone off of the surface. So we're going to pretend that this top plane is the surface of the table. I'm going to create a plane, let's say 50 millimeters up. I'm going to just grab my calipers, see how that looks. I'm holding the microphone, so sorry if you have hear some noises here. Okay, actually, it's got pretty long cord on it, so I'm going to shoot for, let's go like 75 millimeters up. Is where it's going to start clamping on the microphone, and this is just a plane that's going to establish that. It's really important that you get your plane set up before you start designing, because this is going to help with your design. Okay, so like I said, we want this microphone to tilt towards me, so I'm going to go on the front plane and on the plane that I just made and create an axis. You can see this axis right here. It's running perpendicular. So we can create an angled plane off of the plane that we just made. And let's tilt it back like this. So we're going to kind of imagine that the microphone is on this plane and it is embedded into the plane, and this is what's tilting the microphone. This is what is driving that angle. So let's just set it to 115. Actually, I'm thinking a little more. 120 looks pretty good, and we can always adjust that after the fact. Okay, so now we're going to start drawing some geometry. So I'm going to save this part real quick. We're going to add some geometry. So I would like it to just slip into place, and I don't really want it to clamp in or anything crazy. So let's just start with a round circular bottom, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to make an extrude feature. And since this is tilting, we're going to want to support it from the back. So I'm going to make this kind of stand offset from the front plane. And the diameter, let's make it just slightly larger than the actual microphone. The microphone itself is exactly 43.7. So we'll remember that for later. Let's make it 50 in diameter. So we'll type 50. We have it centered on this plane. And let's constrain a distance away from the front. Let's say like 30. And we can adjust that later. So this is going to come up, and this is going to support the cylinder holding the microphone. So I'm going to start that there. I might actually do this feature second. I want to establish a round feature that's cradling the mic first. So let's create another axis and do a revolve feature. So I'm going to create an axis on this plane and this plane, and it's going to be an angled axis, and this is going to be the center of where the microphone sits. So let's do a revolve feature on this plane. We're going to center it, and it just flipped it backwards, so we're going to flip it correctly and right side up. Sketch. Okay, I'm going to grab this awesome axis that we created that was the tilt, so that we can establish an x-axis, or an x-reference plane, I mean. Okay, so let's make a cylinder. So we with a revolve feature, we need a center line, and we need a rectangle. Let's make this rectangle like this, and it was like, what was it, 46.7? So let's define that at like, was it 43.7? Let's measure it again. Yeah, it was 43.7. So let's make it 45. Make it a little comfortable. Actually, we kind of want it to flex, right? Let's make it 43. Okay. And the thickness is, let's make it 3 mil. Let's make it like a sleeve, like 50 millimeters high. I'm gonna grab these dimensions and I'm gonna lock them. And this means that we can't adjust them anymore unless we write the numbers in. And it looks like the only defined measurement we need left is the height of the clamp. So let's put it like 10 millimeters above this reference plane. And as you can see, it populated and filled out this awesome cylinder. And we can control that dimension that we didn't lock, so we can adjust it as needed. So let's go ahead and make it a little bit taller. I'm thinking 50 is good, actually. 50 is perfect. Let's roll with that. And now let's bring this other feature back in. So I'm thinking I want this to have a smaller diameter, and we want it to meet up with this. So that looks decent, but we kind of want it to kind of encapsulate the whole thing like this. So this will be the main support leg, and we're going to do it 2 next, so it should terminate once it reaches that. So I'm going to hit OK, save that, and let's make a little round to pretty this up. Let's see if this will solve here. Looks like the circle isn't quite in a very good spot, so let's edit that. Let's bring it further up this way. There we go, that looks better. Now let's add this round feature. Populate that. Blend it, make it look real nice. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we have the base and we have the microphone. It's going to sit in here. Now we want this cup to open up for me. So I'm going to make an extrude, and we're basically just going to reference these 2 lines, reference the tap, and we're going to cut this section out, like a little width of it. So I'm going to do a slanted rectangle, grab that, okay. Now we're going to do it symmetrical, remove material. Looks like, since it is a round feature, let's try it again. Instead, I'm just going to grab this and this. I'm going to make this rectangle on this surface, and we're just going to pull it out into infinity. This will work just fine. Let's make it a 5 millimeter cut. so it can kind of stretch. Or I guess we can make it like 2 because it's going to flex outward. So that looks pretty good. Now we just need to make sure that it is going to not tip over. So we're going to add some awesome legs to the bottom. So let's do an extrude feature on this. And let's grab my circle there. Reference the circle. Now we know exactly where the center of it is. And what the heck, let's just make it just a circle. I think the center of gravity should be okay. Let's make it 70. And let's make it 3 millimeters tall. Just like that. This should support it just fine. I'm thinking we'll be cool with that. And if not, we can edit the design later. So now we're going to make this look really pretty. I'm going to add another round feature. Let's do 15 there. Let's do 2 here. Actually, let's make it 1. And then I can add some rounds to all of these surfaces. So we'll make these all kind of clean. Make it insert clean. Round this. And let's even round. Oh, let's see. I think that's actually going to fail. So let's just round these. We can keep the bottom kind of straight. So that's where the microphone wire is going to come out. This looks kind of dumb being that intense. That is going to strengthen it. So let's maybe bring it to 10. Let's just make it a radius of 10. And I don't want this base to break off. It kind of looks like it could because of this shaft being so skinny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually design a screw to go through this. I have some machine screws that are 3 inches long. And I'm kind of dumb. I can't remember what 3 inches is in millimeters. Let me Google that. 3 inch to millimeter at 76. Oh, so that's literally perfect. So I'm going to make another extrude on the bottom. We're going to grab the center axis. I'm going to make a circle. I believe that the screw has a diameter of its 3.7. So I'm gonna make this hole 3.5, and then the threads should cut, and it shouldn't be too tight. We should still be able to install that screw into the base, and we're gonna run that through all. Let's see if through all. Yeah, that looks good. That runs all the way through that microphone area. Let me just double check that this is not going to be too high. Make sure that the screw is not going to go all the way through into the microphone area. All right, perfect. We have 82 millimeters in height from the hole to the base. So now I'm going to add a chamfer because it's a chamfered screw. We need to add it to that. And let's make the chamfer like pretty aggressive. So we want that to go all the way. So let's make it 3 millimeters. That looks pretty good. Now that screw's going to run all the way through. It'll keep it from breaking off. We can hold the microphone. Plenty of room for that stuff. And if I need, I can add like an awesome padding to the bottom, like a foam thing so it can slide, or rubber grip, whatever adhesive kind of thing. So I think our design's done. So let's hit save. Let's 3D print this bad boy. And I will post a picture of this final product, and I will also put the STL file for you to print in my Patreon.